All right, sorry about that. All day, no phone calls, and then I got three right in a row, and then Ham just called. But I'm going to quickly, before I call him back, quickly just make sure everyone's working here. GBUX is up almost $2. It's up $1.95 at 9:35. I'm such a big shot, but it's a little scary because I sold some. I have a small position in Railtown. I sold a bit this morning after the news came out on GBUX. And Ham had a call this morning. I did it after I was on the call with him. I did it after that call, so that I now have 200 and let me see. I think it's 213 shares. Anyway, I have 200 shares, and I paid more. I paid I forget, 838 for the rest, or 839. I think it was 838. So I tell you that obviously I'm not bragging. It's a very small amount, and I'm nervous to get out of Railtown because I don't want to miss Railtown. And it's a small account. None of it is to pat myself and say how great I am. What I want to show you, I hope, is that if, in fact, GBUX rallies and I can sell it, I can go back into Railtown. And it's a way of playing with a little bit of an investment I care about and believe in, but you take a little off, you trade it. If it works, you've increased your position. If it doesn't work, well, I'll be kind of chagrined, but it's not a huge, how would you think about it? It's an opportunity cost, but it's not like, let me put it a different way. If you own 1,000 shares of something and you sell off 300 shares and now you have 700, it becomes a question of where you sell the 700 versus where you might have sold the 1,000. So it's not a perfect missed opportunity. Then you have to get into high gear on where you're selling as well. So anyway, GBUX is there. Let me see what fingers do. I'm not getting any. It's not working. So we'll see if I can get Ham on now. He just called.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, I just turned on my computer, so I'm live for about 4 minutes. So
you're live for 3 minutes?
No, I have been live for about 3 minutes or 4 minutes.
Let me tell everybody I'm going live.
All right.
Hold on a second. Give me 1 second.
$9:35.
Oh, where is it?
9:35, I think. 9:29. Sorry, 9:29.
9:20. So 9:20 to 9:34. A high of 9:44.
Yeah.
So everybody, we're ready to go.
Yeah, Vine's 100,000, which I didn't realize.
Well, I know some people that have been buying it. So these guys have been trying to. It was going towards 9. I know people that were taking it to 9, so they backed up and it went to 9:44 real quick. So,
Yeah.
So anyway, these guys are trying to do the backstroke, as we call it, on Wall Street. They're trying to make a sale and trying to basically keep it from running away. But, how do you keep standing here? It's out of control. This is out of control. I just spoke to a friend of mine, and he was a hedge fund, and there's no way any prime broker, Goldman, Morgan, JP Morgan, he's had firms like that. He goes, I don't know the small ones that are here, but there's no way that anybody would allow this to get out of control like it has. These guys are down $7 a share on 1.8 million shares. $7. Every share they sold is underwater. It's insane. And we can say that about stocks that had short squeezes, that they're underwater. We all can say that. This hasn't had a short squeeze yet, and they're 100% underwater. Very different. Very different. The stock hasn't had a squeeze. When there's a squeeze, of course, every share is underwater. But this hasn't even happened yet. These guys are trying to hold it and not let it run away, but it's walking away, which is even better for longs. More people get the chance to buy it. And I told everybody many times, you guys are all looking for a short squeeze. I pointed it out 70 times already in this name. And now the company got $100 million in the bank. $100 million commitment. Not $1 million, not $2, not $5, $100. One shareholder believes this company is going to be like Grab, G-R-A-B, which is a $20 billion market cap company. He's read the stuff. He says it looks like him in the same space. It could be something like that. I don't know much about it, but a company that's got a $20 billion market cap, if this is getting into the same type of space as a Grab, give me a $5 billion market cap. Who's shorting it, this thing? You've got to be insane. The company got $100 million, not $1 million. And I told everybody, William, 50 times, because, listen, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because people hound me. And I'm trying to tell you that if you want to get involved, own 100 shares, own one share, and you could be excited and be part of it. That's all I can tell you. If you want to buy it, you buy 20%, bid for 20%. If it pulls back another 20%, if it's running up towards 10, then you could buy 20% there. You can do anything you like. Just don't buy it all at the same time. I don't care if you buy 100 shares, buy 25, 25, 25. If you want to play games, so you want to see if you do better. But it looks to me like this thing is going to run into the close. The prime brokers they got to be cringing. Because at $7 a share times 1.8 million, what is that, William? It's got to be $12 million.
That's what the Tom Ronk numbers show.
Well, no, I'm talking about the loss. They're 2.25 minus 9.25 is $7. It's pretty easy math. 7 times 1.8 million, you're talking $12 million loss. And as the stock approaches 10, I've been saying $11 a margin. The margin's got to be 12 or 13 now. Remember, the prime broker needs to hold on to something here. You have to protect them.
So they're going to call up and say you need to have $10 in per share, or you need $15.
12 or $15. Yeah, that's probably more like it. They're not lowering. As the stock moves to 10, if you had your client short 1.8 million, his stock was 8, and you had them put up $8 to protect you.
Yeah.
It's now 9.5. You guys said, well, you're going to put up another $1.50. If the guy doesn't put up the money, then the prime is out that $1.50. Do you follow me?
Right.
So they need money on it just in case.
Institutionally, is there such a thing as a Fed call? We used to have Fed calls, and
I would believe the prime broker the DTC has alerts on the prime brokers because they can see when someone's getting out of control.
Right.
They can sit there to the prime broker and say, hey, if this guy goes belly up, just like Alpine, you don't have enough money to stay in business. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So the prime broker is being monitored by the depository trust.
Mm-hmm.
So if any time that prime broker gets weak, the DTC calls the prime broker, hey, what's going on? One of your clients is dragging your balance sheet and you're going negative. And the prime broker then gets shit. So the prime broker has to keep an eye on his clients, because the client could throw them out of business, in which case the DTC would shut them down.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of eyes on this thing. Is the prime broker has got to be calling them in.
So are you surprised that it's only up $2 today? Did you expect it to do more? And if you're not surprised, when do you think the pressure comes on? And could it be up 5-10 points in a day?
The best thing for investors is what you're saying, because it's other investors are coming in here and they're scooping up more shares and get them short more. Okay, mm-hmm. Which means that it's going to start at $10. It hasn't even started yet. It's 9:40, whatever the hell it is, 9:35. Mm-hmm. So I think that this is the best trading pattern that you can see, the slow march up, because that brings in more people. It gets stronger. People are starting to feel there's a short squeeze here, right? Mm-hmm. Big players. Now I'm not talking about retail. If it just goes 8 to 50. People didn't even get a chance to get in. It just go bang, boom. Everybody who's in wins, and everybody else trying to get in doesn't win. Right. Bringing more bodies to the party makes it better.
And there's obviously more cowboys shorting the stock, probably. So,
well, I think it's the same people, and they're going backwards. Every share they sold is underwater.
Well, we're coming up on 3 o'clock. Is that a magical number, or 3:30, or?
Every second is a magical number in this game right now. Mm-hmm. The prime broker's watching this thing, and they're on their phone communicating, and they're waiting for money to come in. They probably called them up already, say, yeah, you better have $5 million here, within 30 minutes. Call them back. Didn't come in yet. Think about everybody on this phone. You owe somebody money. Hey, you got the money? Yeah, the guy's coming to deliver it. I'll get it to you in an hour. Everyone says the same thing. That's how it works on Wall Street.
Are they going to have a time enough to move the trades offshore into Netherlands, or that's a game that takes months, if not years?
That game is dead. That whole scam is over. That doesn't exist. That's not happening here.
So why hasn't the prime broker bought them in as of Friday, today, this afternoon?
Because the prime broker is a seasoned short seller. He's not a sissy like me or William or anybody else here.
The prime broker, too, was short. Okay.
They were a short seller also. If you were a prime broker, every time we saw a stock go against us a little bit, we'd be all panicking, right?
Right.
You can't be short. You got to cover, blah, blah, blah. A lot of times stocks pop up and they go back down, right?
Right.
So a lot of times these prime brokers give them leeway because they've been doing it. They did it themselves.
Okay.
Me, I would be calling them in, and because I'm such a sissy, I would never really have clients on the short side because I would call you in too quick because I have to protect my firm.
Okay.
It's very different. So I think today's news has got the prime broker rattled. I think the short is rattled. And I think they're going to force it and make them cover. And like the stock drug went from $1 to 78. NUKK, I forgot that symbol, went to whatever, 80. And if you look at it, the stock is trading just like Root, ROOT. Remember I told you? Mm-hmm. A slow, steady covering, trying to cover. Stock keeps moving up, slow, walking, then it runs, and all of a sudden it sprints. And that's when you get the day of $30 or $20, whatever it was that day last week. Mm-hmm. This is how they start. But it hasn't started yet. That's the best part.
So the news today was $100 million, and it's definitive, as I read it, 2 weeks from now.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely...
I don't know how long it'll take to get the documents, but it implies that the final documents will be soon.
I spoke to a friend of mine who does this sort of stuff,
Yeah.
and he said, look for a 8K or a 8K, I think he said.
Mhm.
It should be out. He said normally you do it within two to 3 days, you'll have an 8K, and that'll describe what they're doing with the money and everything, their game plan.
And in your opinion, if a company that has, I think, 13 million shares trading, I don't know that the float's that big. And I think
The
there's...
float is 1 million shares. I told you that 20 times.
Oh, your mama. And then the DTC is a small amount. You bring in $100 million, that's a real company. This isn't Jeff Lind bringing in the money to screw with. This isn't Kurt and Seth Smith
Kramer.
Kramer. Right. It's real money.
This is a major play, and obviously there's a major brokerage firm around this stock. There's nobody I know can do this. That would do it. They would sit there and say, well, it's traded 100,000 shares today at $9. I can bring in this much money, $100 million. I'll see you in 90 days. Keep the volume going. That's the only way they would come in.
Yeah, yeah.
No one would invest. They want the volume.
Well, and as I suggested on this morning's call with you, somebody putting up $100 million isn't doing it to park it somewhere. They're planning on a rate of return. I don't know what they have in mind. We'll find out when it's drawn up. But
well, William, someone brought to my attention that this company, reading the filings, looks like Grab, G-R-A-B.
Right.
It's the same type of business, whatever. He said that if it is, Grab is a $20 billion market cap company. $20 billion.
Grab Holdings.
Grab, G-R-A-B. It's a $20 billion market cap company.
Software and programming, large cap, NASDAQ, 20 billion, 19.73 billion.
Right. So I said, I don't know. So he said, but it looks like they're doing that to build out their technology to do that stuff. That's what he said. So I don't know. But again, we told you where the rumor came from. All of a sudden, $100 million came into it. And we got some idiots short. Where are they going? They're going to try to knock it down where they sell 100 shares.
This is something my E-Trade says that it's easy to borrow the shares of GBUX.
They don't borrow it. They're not. This is not a real short. This is a naked short.
Right. I understand. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, it's very different.
So they don't probably have a real short because
they don't have a real short. We don't have a real short.
Would be doing that.
Right. There's nobody would do this.
Yeah.
That's why I don't understand. As you can see, the stock has these flurries. It goes sideways. They hit it down a little bit on 100 shares. All of a sudden, it pops up again. It goes up another 60 cents. And it trades back and forth, ticks down. Then it goes up another 50 cents. That's someone, they don't know what to do. They're moving backwards. And when they don't see a bid, they sell 100 shares and try to knock it down. But every time they do that, another bid pops up. It's them trying to cover. They're trying to cover. They're trying to hold it down and trying to cover in the same breath. That's what they're doing.
So what do you think happens for the next hour?
I think it's gonna scream.
Like,
I think tomorrow morning you can get your event.
Yeah,
and that's why I tell people, own one share. Huh?
It'll just open gap.
I think tomorrow you can get your plus 20. I think that's how close it is. We all see this stuff going on. Okay? It doesn't have to trade 1 billion shares. I told you that. That whole thing is a scam. This is just the longs against the short. There's no derivatives. There's nothing to hedge. They could look what they're going to do. Go short a Grab? I don't know what they're doing. There's nothing to do.
Do you think this was intentionally schemed in advance by these Goldman guys?
Oh yeah, they went out there and they just got let's do this investment plan, and hopefully somebody will short into it. Listen, the guys shorting into it, they dug their own hole.
So it's just chance, yeah.
I think it was just by it's chance, and that whoever they did, they just doing their business, lining it up, and these idiots just walked into it. Think about this, everybody on the call. If you ever think you feel unlucky, imagine shorting a stock and the company raises $100 million. This is a stock that if you're short, you're jumping in front of a train, because that's impossible. What you just see happen is impossible. I've never seen it before. Companies raise $5 million, $10 million, $100 million. I think what you're seeing is what we all want to see all the time. I wish it was finger motion instead of this one, but I have to live with it is. And just so everybody knows, I'm coming back to finger motion shortly. Once this thing rips, either way, I'm coming back to finger motion. I'm going to start working hard, going to see people, getting them to acquire it and get involved in it. That's what I'm doing. This was just like making short selling hunting season here on this one. It turned into a beautiful trade for everybody.
Do you think hedge funds are going to start buying this because they smell blood?
Yes. Yep.
What is a realistic high? How high do you think?
It hasn't started yet. It's 9:34. Everybody in this phone, no one owns it higher than where it is. So if anybody's here who owned it to 4, 5, 6, whatever, either you gotta believe or not believe. It's up to you. There's no diamond hands here. I don't believe in that shit.
So if they start covering, Will is asking at $15, can you put a multiple? Let's say it goes up 10x, 5x, 20x. Where
I can only tell once it starts. That first assault into it, I can tell.
All right.
But we haven't had the assault yet. We're getting a slow walk. We're walking in the park. And when I see that, that means that other longs, I know someone who paid $9.44. Someone called me up. I'm buying a stock at $9.44. I said, "What's the difference? In 10 minutes, it'll be over your head anyway, right?"
So, what happens on the long side? Today, the stock's up 25%. Are there computer runs out there that show that the stock's up, 200% in the last week, and it's up today, and therefore it hits a screen so they start buying? How do they find the stock how does a hedge fund
people have, listen, they're searching Twitter. That's why I told people, keep torturing them.
All right.
Post whatever you like. Post what you see. But let them know, hey, I see you. Why? They're criminals. That's the one thing everyone on these calls got to get in their head. These people are bad people. They'll steal your money. They'll take your teeth, anything. These are bad people.
They'll tell you about it so they can feel good about themselves.
Say it again?
They'll tell you about it if they can, just to feel good about themselves.
Yeah, that's it. They're criminals. They're just criminals.
Because they're not born with original sin. All right, and so there's no halts on the OTC, correct?
As you can see, it's just nice and smooth. Again, I try to tell everybody, you have to be in it to win it. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. So owning one share or 100 shares, there's no shame in being small. It doesn't hurt. It gets you involved and it educates you on what you're seeing. I got it. Unfortunately, this is a money game. This isn't make believe. So in order to play, you need money. And I can't play them all, just like you. I can't play them all. So this is something we followed and had all the signs of a short squeeze. Every sign has been telling me a short squeeze.
When do we know it's starting to squeeze?
Oh, the spread in the stock will get wide. It's going to go 930 to 975. I told you, when the short sellers move away, that means they don't want to sell anymore. Right now, they're keeping a sort of tight market, maybe a nickel or a dime, but they're only offering 100 shares at a time, maybe 100, 200, maybe someone's flipping it, whatever. But if there's no sellers, the spread will just get wider and wider.
Do you
I wouldn't be
think,
surprised when it goes like 10 and a quarter, it'd be 10 and a quarter to 11.
do you think
Something
GBUX
like
is
that.
going to move to NASDAQ or the NYSE now they have a?
I assume they would. That's
So
pretty
then,
powerful
then
statement.
there'll be options and derivatives, but that won't happen right away.
You'll be gone by then.
Wow is one answer.
Listen, as long as you can see what it starts to look like. When they turn, when they go, you're seeing what it looks like. That's it. There's no guarantees. There's nothing I could say. I don't understand how they're still standing, but it's obvious you could see the attack on Friday, trying to knock it down. They knocked it down from 874 down to 7 and a quarter. Today the stock is 934, up $1.90. I told you on Friday the attack. I says all these stocks have had major attacks. Root, you name it. They knocked Root down, and Root came back and went up 20 more higher. I mean, that's how it works.
What
They try to get you.
What volume would indicate that they've been?
The volume doesn't make a difference. Forget the volume. Okay. I talked about volume. I showed you Root was up $20 the other day on 500,000 shares. 20. Not 20 million, 500,000 shares. There's no derivative. There's nothing to hedge. There's nothing to create. It's us against them. That's it. And it's pretty easy math. I showed you the math. I sent you the short squeeze numbers. Everything's calculated. Everything they sold on Friday, their average was 820, I think it was, is underwater. That was 50-something thousand more on Friday, or 54,000. Today, I'll find out tomorrow. Let's say it's at 105,000. Let's say they sold 75,000 trying to hold it down. I'm leaving 30 off of there. So 75,000 to the 1.7515, it's got me up to almost 1.8. So they tried.
Bought more at $8 when you were talking about it the other day.
Yeah. I told you, a friend of mine paid $9.44 today for it. Again, I know it's hard. Everybody's so shell-shocked from losing all the time. I got it. But these plays, it's like candy camera. When it sticks out, when it's finally showtime, you got to jump. And this was a classic example of watching it move and trade, and we caught them, and that's it. There's nothing more to say. Finger motion's a bigger fight, different game, but we're going to get them. That's where I'm going next. You're not hearing any more symbols out of me. I will eat my sock before I say another symbol. The last symbol I'm saying is finger motion, and then we'll wait for GTI to do what it's going to do down the road. And that's it. There's not much more I can say. I sent Elon Musk and the Doge crew enough information on finger motion and GBUX to choke a horse. I showed him the truck in GTI if anyone wanted to know. I have the truck in front of the SEC. I sent them 40 or 50 photos of us with the truck at CNBC, in front of Fox, the DTC, FINRA. I had all the photos of it. They're probably sitting there scratching their head saying, these guys have been whistleblowing, blowing a siren, and they didn't pick up the phone, the SEC. The best part about that is with the SEC, we called in a ton. You remember, William? We used to call every day. Mm-hmm. And they never responded, nothing. What happened to all those complaints? All the phone complaints every day? That has to be thousands and thousands of those things. But the one thing they can't hide is the truck and the lobby of the SEC. That they can't hide. So we have actual proof that we were whistleblowing. Anything else, William? Everybody's okay? Here's a good thing, William. My friend brought it to my attention. The stock's average volume is 20,000 shares a day. It's trading more now, but its average is 20 a day. 20,000 divided by 1.8 million. What is that, 90 days? That's 90 days to cover the short this stock.
Somebody said,
Because I haven't seen them washing much. So I would take out the washing machine, fake trades here. Finger Motion's got fake trades galore all day. This one hasn't had it. Maybe some, but not much. Let's say 90 days. So cut it down. Make it 70 days to cover every share of stock that's short here. 70 days. And I took 20 off. That, my friends, is a mess. And like I said, no one's joining this fight. No one wants to jump into a fight they know nothing about. You can come out here and short 50,000 shares. If this guy collapses, you'll lose $10 in a second over nothing. So no one's going to join a fight that they know nothing about. And this isn't a monster trader. It doesn't trade 20 million shares a day. You can hide, get in and out. There's nothing here. Go search all the stocks that squeeze. Go look at them. NUKK, DRUG, KOSS. Go look at them. Go back and look at the days they squeezed. They were doing nothing, right by them, and all of a sudden, rockets. I know everybody wants to see it. You want to buy it at $9.30. Go to the bathroom and come back and see it at $90.30. We all want that. But the person on the other side of this trade is definitely in hot water and is boiling like a frog right now in the water pot. There's not even a question. And it's moving up again. 934 bid now. They're offered at 938. So you tell me, guys, I'm just showing you what I see. You do whatever you like. Everyone wants to know a short squeeze. I showed you it. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. We found it. We've been doing this for a while. I tried to reach out to Roaring Kitty, see what he thought, but he posted a picture of a cat. I don't know what that means, but that's all he got out of him. So, anything else, William? I don't want to keep everybody.
People are asking about MMTLP, which you're not going to add anything about. And
I think MMTLP isn't trading.
No, it's not. And people still, they must have missed your answer. How high do you think it can go?
It hasn't started yet.
I guess that's an answer. Can you
trading at 940 up $2, huh?
Can you give a rundown of what you sent Doge and the SEC?
Oh God!
And how to do it for people? Everybody could do it.
Yeah, it's you could just go to at DOGE_SEC, and you have to send them a direct message, and they get it and behind the scenes, and you just keep funneling whatever you want to say.
Do you think GBUX can hit $100?
Yes, I do. Let's start with 20 first, then we could go talk 100. That's why I tell people to buy one share, 100 shares. You finally caught it, and you could see it, a live version of it. If I was calling people up, telling them to go buy 10,000 shares, that's a different story. Just to be there to participate, Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. Just on one share. If you did it, you would listen to me 5 days ago. You wanted a 4, or 5, or 6, or 7, whatever it may be. It just looks like it's coming to the end of the day, and it looks like it's ready to rip to 10.
940, up $2.
It just looks like it's ready to rip to 10.
Oh, that's a brave call.
I put up, how long before we go through 9? Someone wrote back, it's through 9. I said, whoops, I was wrong about that one. It happened already. When you see trades going off above the market, that means that they're looking for people who have sell orders out there, and they'll take it. Like the 940 offer could be the short. If you offered 500 at 945, I bet you they take it. And, you don't see the print at 945 because they're trying to grab any shares that they can see.
How much, let's assume they covered some today. How much do you think they could cover today?
Nothing. There's no sellers.
Yeah.
I gave you a number. They covered 30%. So 30%, so you're talking about 30,000, 40,000 shares out of 112 now.
Maybe, yeah.
I told you, they're just trying to hold it. They're trying to hold the lid on the garbage pail, but meanwhile, they're trying to buy it back. They don't know what to do.
Do you have a summary of what the news was in your head?
Just go to Yahoo. It's on there. I didn't read the whole. I read it. I can't regurgitate the whole thing for you. Perfect. They got $100 million. They're going to expand their operations all over the globe, and it looks like it's ready to go. That's all I know. It's got $100 million.
What's your realistic price?
People always say to me, well, it's $100 million. Well, the SEC will obviously ask the company they get clarity on their investment. Who is it? What they're doing with it. If they were going to do something stupid, they would do a small amount because, $100 million is basically as loud as you can be, right? They're not quietly doing that, right? So it's $100 million. So this is the real deal. To me, this is a real deal. If you're nervous, get off the boat. That's it. There's nothing I can say. I got one friend. He's up 300,000 in it right now. He's not even around. He's not even paying attention.
Must be nice. You buy a car. He could buy a car.
He can buy a car, but I think he's going to try to make back some of his GameStop money that he lost a lot of money in. And eventually, when he does sell, he's going to come in and buy Finger Motion. So he'll buy 300,000-400,000 Finger Motion.
Terry's loading the boat. The Rosenberg company thinks it's too high.
Rosenberg? You talking about Steve Rosenberg?
I guess, yeah. It now posts as
Steve Rosenberg. Steve Rosenberg is a sissy. I called him up 50 times to buy it. And he had $1. I missed it. I didn't have the money in the account the next day. The dog ate my homework. He said every chicken shit answer you can ever get. So put him to the side on this one. Steve Rosenberg, go stand on a corner in a crate and tell the world you were a sissy and you missed it. You chicken shit. He
stands on the wall so you don't have to.
And he's a chicken shit, tell him.
I'm not telling him that. I don't know what OG is, but anyway, Philip wants to know, what about the OG Finger GTII? I don't know what.
The original GTII, there's been 65,000 conference calls about it. It's all over. Go to Richard Hoffman, get your update there. There's a company that's going to merge into it. I'm not going to rehash it. It's all over the place. Just go on Twitter and find it yourself. It's right there. When it trades again, we'll talk about it. Okay? I'm not talking about things that aren't trading. Everything seems to be moving in the right way for that stock. When it trades, We'll talk about it. Other than that, not wasting my breath. Take that off. Finger motion. I talk about it 70 times a day. We know the company has a dividend coming out, a special dividend, which I said to Elon Musk and the Doge people. We know they have a research report coming from World Capital that is probably late now. We know that they're working on. They just got $5 million at $1.50. And for everybody on this phone, you have to really be a bozo to sell it at $1.12 when someone just put $5 million at $1.50. The stock is being manipulated by Lynn Partners and their offshore buddies. That's what's going on there. That's it. I had my daughter buy some at 118 today. Would you like me to say anything else? Well, I'm going to say it. There's nothing else to say. I'm going to go to all my friends. I'm going to tell them about the finger motion story. Hopefully the company comes out with whatever they're doing, and that'll be part of everything I've been saying. It's all there. We don't know what's coming. And you have the Elon Musk, the Doge people going into the SEC. It's so funny these stocks are being knocked down. For what reason? Because they know the SEC is coming. That's exactly what I'd be doing, trying to knock it down. Hopefully people would sell it. That's exactly what they're doing. You don't think Donald Trump sees his stock down $1.50 today on 5 million shares, normally trades 30 million shares a day? You don't think he sees that? You don't think he's going to tell Devin Nunes and Elon Musk get in the SEC and do what you have to do here? They are doing what they have to do. They're telling you they're doing it. If you don't think that Elon Musk is coming in here is going to upset the apple cart here, then you must get out of the game immediately. Anything else, William?
No, it's all good.
If you want to be in it, you see what it is. I always tell you, own a little bit. This way you can be part of it. If you don't, just watch it, enjoy it. When it runs, make sure you have orders out there to make a sale. If you bought stock, throw it out there at 10, 11, 20, whatever number you want to pick. But always throw it out there because sometimes they spike up and you may miss it. So just be aware of that. All right?
Okay.
I don't want to keep everybody all day. I'm saying the same nonsense. I'm down to the 2 stocks. I'm really going to be down to 1 shortly because this looks like it's over by itself.
When do you think it's over? Tomorrow?
I don't know how they're standing.
Next week?
I think there's someone standing with smelling salts underneath their nose.
2 weeks from now, is it still here?
I believe it's over tonight or tomorrow. The stock is telling me something major is going on here. I don't know about you, but that's what it looks like to me. All right, people, listen, I've been talking about the stock from $1. It went to $9.50.
You've been talking about it since 73 cents, I think it was.
Yeah, so just think about it. Add a 0 to it. Let's make it $1. Make believe it's 10. We talked about it at $1. Add a 0. Make it 10. Make it $2. Make it $20. Make it $3. Make it 30. Make it 40. Add a 0. Make it $5. We started. Add a 0. It's 50. It's $93 now, or $98, whatever the hell it is. 93, excuse me. That's where it is, 90. That's how big a move this stock is made. Add a 0 and just think about it being, instead of $1, make it $10. It's $90 right now. I know it's 9, but add a 0, make it 9. That's the percentage that it's gone up. That is devastating to whoever's short. Devastating. All right, listen, everyone. I can only answer all your questions, and I don't stand around for applause as I go. All right, everyone. Have a great night and good luck. Thanks.
All right, thank you. You're left with me. Yeah, I don't know. Yesterday I got pretty hepped up, as they might say, somewhere, some part of the country. I got hepped up. Well, I think part of the problem is we are complete amateurs and we're just lambs for the slaughter. We make the same mistakes over and over again. I include myself. We don't have a buttress against emotions. We don't study. These foes are implacable. And in fact, I doubt they're even human beings. I'm sure there's a human being component to it, like a Jeffrey Lind. But the computers his clients have, the hedge funds have, they're set on automatic. They don't have feelings. They're like the Terminator. It's all he does. He kills people. That's all he knows how to do. It's all he does. And so we sit here with our emotions and our hope and our belief, and we just get slaughtered. And so yesterday, yet again, somebody is dreaming that he's going to get his money back or make a profit in GTII. And I mean, things happen. I've seen miracles in the market. I once invested in a company. I won't say the name. It was an oil and gas company, small one, very small. And I only put a little bit of money in it, but an associate of mine and we did something for them. And so we earned some pitiful amount of shares. I think I really don't remember, 15,000 shares, and the stock was trading at 20 cents or something. I didn't get any cash, so that was, whatever it was, I forget the number, but it was small price stock. The greatest thing about it is I got to fly into Nashville and then go to Henderson, Tennessee, and it was fun. I going to the office and then meeting everybody, and I don't know, spent a couple 3 days there. I enjoyed it. But anyway, I remember about 2 or 3 years later, I was looking at my account, and of course that never did anything. I forget the exact number of shares. It never did a thing. But the guy's son-in-law did a deal with an Alaskan oil and gas company, and all of a sudden the stock was trading at, I'm making up, $15. It's probably less than that, $10, $8. But that little thing that was worth, I don't know, a couple of $1,000 to me, suddenly was worth, to my memory, 50 grand. And I started listening, and I met the guy, and everyone was talking about it, and I thought, wow, this is huge. This is going to be $1 million, because they had all these reserves in Alaska. And one night at a cocktail party, and you do learn things when you go get a drink with friends. I was talking to a very experienced guy. I'm not going to give his name or company. And he just said, well, you got to think about one thing. What is the cost of, what was the word? The environmental cost. What's the cost of reclamation and they have a thing in oil and gas where you have to set aside money for the final abandonment of the wells. He said, what are those costs? And so the next morning I got up and I sold that stock, and I forget what I bought with it, probably that silver company. But anyway, it happens, miracles happen, but it's very unlikely with GTII. You're going to see, I think, I stand by it, you're in a legal process. I've never gone through with an investment in the receivership side, but I've fought on behalf of investors in bankruptcy court. I've learned a lot, and what I learned primarily, lawyers think differently than investment bankers. Lawyers think differently than any human beings. Lawyers think because they did something, they deserve to get paid. I'm here. I went to law school. I'm smarter than God. I need to be paid more than Croesus. That's how lawyers think. And but it's not just your lawyer, it's the lawyer on the other side, and the lawyer of some other party, and the other lawyer that comes in, and then the ex-judge that's now a lawyer, and then the judge is getting a few licks in too, and everybody sees this carcass of a company and they all want to be paid. They don't produce anything. They don't make a deal happen. They don't take the risk of calling up somebody and saying, you know, I have been studying this project for 5 years and it's perfect for you. I'd like you to put in $1 million. And then they don't go negotiate that deal and fight that. They don't have to do any of that. They don't have to produce anything. All they have to do is follow some procedures in the courtroom that says, I did this, this, and this. I showed up. I went and took a leak. I washed my hands. That was on my client's time. I flew here from Austin. That was on my client's time. I got a balloon. I picked up breakfast or lunch on the way. That's on my client's time. I deserve to get paid for all of this. I didn't produce anything, but I'm a lawyer and I deserve to get paid. And that's what goes on. That's what goes on. And then they paper it over, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the terminology. You use the word settlement, but there's other terminology for it. The resolution, the agreement, who cares what the shareholders get? As long as everybody gets their piece and they can afford to go to lunch, and in the case of the male lawyers, their wife can go shopping. In the case of the female lawyers, they can do what they want with it. But anyway, my point is, nobody in that courtroom, nobody in whatever it's called, restitution, what's it called, receivership, they're not thinking about you. I do think what I've heard is the guy from the university company does have you in his mind. And I've also heard, despite the, I think, massive bite of the pie, that he's going to take. I think the receiver's looking out for you. I think that's his motive. But it's him first. The judge, I'm sure, is thinking of herself. I'm sure of it. They get a piece, but she has a lot of cases going on. The whales, to the extent that you and I own the same stock that the whales do, they're thinking about you and me. But in GTII, I think that you have to assume you lost everything. You did not sell when it was up. You didn't sell as it came down. You didn't sell as you broke even. You didn't sell while there were bids, while there was volume. So you could establish a tax loss, because stubbornly, you don't see any value in a tax loss carry forward. So you waited to the point where you can't even sell it. And now receivership is not a guarantee that something good is going to happen. They'll go after Reichman, they'll go after any other bad actors. I'm not saying Reichman is, I'm just saying that's what I understand the legal documents say. But that doesn't mean it's going to be good for us. It might give us a sense of satisfaction. But I've warned you from the jump that I don't even think you have to say almost. Always in bankruptcy, shareholders end up with nothing. I mean, I can't think of a case in my experience where shareholders got anything. And I think receivership has that risk too. So I strongly recommend that we stop being amateurs and idiots and thinking somehow someone's going to come wave a wand and we're going to get the money back that we lost on GTII. I lost a lot of money on GTII. I had a friend call me up who, I still think he's a good guy, but he must have been drinking. But he just blasted me, and he accused me of, and he's a financial, he's a stockbroker. He's recommended stocks to his clients, and his clients have lost money. But he went apeshit. I haven't spoken to him. It's a shame. I hate losing friends. But he accused me of basically pump and dumping that stock, which I didn't do. I didn't tell anybody to buy that stock after. I don't think I told anyone to buy it in the dollar range. I think it was all lower when I did. But I do admit to getting caught up in what Ham was saying, having the belief 2 or 3 years ago that the system would buy in the shorts. But it never happened. I think there was a squeeze going on in GTII, as I've explained to you. That's my belief. You can't prove it, of course. But it was always just a piece of POS company. It had a very small float compared to a gigantic short position, but that's all leveled up. The two brothers and their clients from Clams Neck, New York, they stretched it out and they kept selling and they kept the thing going. The Hurries bought it out. It's in court documents that the Alpine is in trouble because of the large short position, and et cetera, et cetera. But they have the same lawyers that the SEC uses. And remember, lawyers are wonderful. Lawyers can actually comfortably talk to you as to why they did this or that, and there's a precedent. Morality doesn't come into it. Right and wrong doesn't come into it. Not to a lawyer. They're in some sort of mental zone where as long as you work with certain previous documents, previous hearings, and you can make some sort of argument, you can check the box that you don't have to be responsible for lying, for hurting people, for being wrong, for stealing, cheating, for colluding. Just get it cleansed through the court system. That's all they do. So Alpine hires these attorneys, and they played every gimmick in the world, and they stretched it out and stretched it out and stretched it out and stretched it out. I believe that the monies made by Kramer's clients and Alpine's is massive. So they bribed a few people to be promotional for a shit company called COSM. And they stopped the squeeze. But guys, all of that happened. Nobody's going to give us a second chance to make our money in GTII. The squeeze, I think, was happening when it went to 897, and they stopped it. They have the lawyers, they have the balls, they're willing to lie, they're willing to collude, they're willing to bribe, and they're willing to spend your money to steal your money. And it worked. And here we are 3 years later, whatever it is. There's no surprises in GTI. There's instead of, I don't remember the numbers, but instead of 10 or 15 or 20 million shares in the float, there's 500 million shares in the float. Yes, it's getting clawed back. Yes, we're caught some real wrongdoing, but that's the court doing it. That has nothing to do with making money. Nothing. That's why I get upset. It's just fantasy land. It's lying to ourselves. Anyway, the more energy we spend on it, we miss out on something like, for example, if I had been in a better frame of mind, in fighting shape, thinking, power, more sense of power, maybe I would have put $800 in GBUX at 80 cents. I didn't, because my mind's on this, it's on that, it's, distracted here. So you're off your game. And like Jim Cramer says, people make fun of him, whatever. I read 3 of his books, 2 of them anyway, but I think 3. And I used to listen to him from time to time. And he can't help himself. He might manipulate and all that, but he basically tells you what he's doing. And but one thing he said, I never forgot, years ago, I'd say 15 years ago, he said, remember, every piece of stock is just a piece of paper. Every stock is it's not an investment, it's a piece of paper. Essentially, it's worthless. So when it goes up, sell it. But you got to be able to sell it as it comes down, too. And that's something you can only decide for yourself. All right, you bought GTI. I don't know what you paid for GTI, but let's say you bought it at $2. It runs up to 8 or 9. And then it's at 7, 6, and 5. And Ham's saying it's going to be life-changing and it's going to go to this and that. I put videos out early on that I thought the squeeze, based on my study of 30 previous squeezes, how it could happen. I didn't promise it. So then you get caught up, as I did, believing, oh my God, if I sell, I'm going to miss out on this, this Cinderella story. Instead of being a pumpkin, I'm going to be a prince or whatever, however Cinderella worked out. Well, maybe I should have just, like my friend accused me of, maybe I should have just sold it at 8 or 7 or 6. But then as it comes back down, you got to start thinking, well, what am I in here? What's going on? Everything they tried to do to get the squeeze to happen hasn't happened. Time has gone by. Time murders all trading ideas. Time is not a friend when you're trying to catch the emotion of an upside. But even I'm giving this advice, I didn't do it because I didn't want to miss out. I didn't want to miss out. You know, I did sell some, as I've told you, I sold some to get into MMTLP. I sold some to get into CRTD, CRTD was a complete disaster. And I can't remember. Everything is so long ago. But now there's this fantasy that somehow we're going to make our money back in GTI. Come on, please. It's not going to happen. Do you know how stupid that makes us look to the criminals? That they even think that we think it's going to make money for us and that we're willing to put more money into that stock? They're wiping their hands. They're thinking, God, we can, these suckers never learn. Now there's definitely, I think, going to come a time what you represent, and I'm part of you, what we represent to the CEO of the AI University company is 700 investors or whatever we are. That helps him in not only creating his public company, but it might help him in raising money, which I think we're going to get an opportunity at some point, should we want to take it, to invest in the whatever it is. But I think that's months away. If I had to guess, you'd be lucky to see something in 90 days. I think it's 6, 7, 8, 9 months away, a year away. But I don't know the answer how long it takes. But that's when you study it, is when the new idea is presented. Not now. It's so amateur. That's got to be flushed from you. That money's gone. That money's lost. And then you miss out on opportunities like GBUX. Now, look, every blind pig finds a walnut or whatever this is, stock after stock doesn't work, and then all of a sudden one is working. I was talking to a friend of mine, and that was his point of view, and I agree with it. I agree with his point of view. However, imagine for all of you guys that bought more shares of GTII while it's on the expert market, which is just a fleece job. That's designed, that expert market is a con game so that the judge can feel good about an agreed transaction. All right, here's 100 million shares. We're gonna discharge those shares, and we're gonna do it at half a penny because that's the last quote on the expert market. And she signs off, and she's covered her ass, and everyone else feels plumb and proper, and they cash their checks feeling good about themselves. And if you question it, oh, harumph, harumph. We're lawyers, and we did our job properly. But you gotta, if you're here to make money, you've got to look at what's going on. Once it gets off into the law system, the legal system, that's about a whole new set of piglets and piggies and rats and snakes and porkies feeding off the trough. And we as shareholders don't even get into those pigs have to just slobber and the stuff has to fall out of the trough and into the hay and onto the concrete and hopefully doesn't go into the manure so we can get anything. That's just a fact. But you want to know about why GTII, what's happening, it's a waste. It's a total waste. And so I think I get frustrated with that people, we're so amateur. And I haven't obviously had any impact to make you more professional, or myself. I mean, being professional is tough. Being professional is tough. Look at Cal Ripken or Novak Djokovic or, Muhammad Ali. It comes at a price. There's discipline. But Ted Williams only hit 1 out of, I can't do the arithmetic, 4 out of 10 balls safely. And he was the best. So that means 6 of his at-bats he had to let go of. He could say, darn it, I shouldn't have swung at that. Or why did I pop up to that guy? Or I knew that the wind was blowing, and he could focus on that. But the next time he gets at bat, the splendid splinter might miss out on a home run. So anyway, I think that's why I get upset. And I know it's not pleasant for you to hear it when I get upset. I think you will get a chance with GTII for a new investment. But the risk is it doesn't make it out of receivership. Who the hell knows? Receivership and bankruptcy are the briar patch that Kurt and Seth Smith and their clients wanted this to end up into from the jump. That's what they wanted. They can book their profits. Adina Friedman doesn't care. Gary Gensler doesn't care. They book their profits. There's no closing transaction, no taxes paid. So they've done it many, many times. This is your first time. Our first time. And they're gleeful. And if you want to put another $5,000 into buying GTII in a blind man's bid and ask market, they'll take it from you. They'll be glad to take it from you. All right, enough about GTII. Somebody asked me, what am I going to do with GBUX? I'm going to, it's up. It's 9:27. And I hope that Ham is right, that tomorrow or Thursday we open up and the stock's at $20 or $25 and it runs. And that's why I risked I have a small position in Railtown. I risked getting out of some of it to buy GBUX because it'd be fun to experience one of those. They happen, they do happen. We haven't been in one. But what will I do if GBUX runs? I'm going to buy Railtown. I'm not going to buy, it depends on what price Railtown is trading for, of course. And if GBUX runs, when it runs. But I'll buy Railtown AI. I don't think any of the other stories offer as much upside balanced with what for me I think is a minimal downside risk. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I'll do with that. Okay, Korean Yoon. Richard had a live stream yesterday, and well, I can't speak for him, and I don't know what it means to say I'm a supporter of them. I do wish each of them well, and I do stand ready, as I said on a phone call last night, private call. I stand ready to help GTII and in its new iteration in any way I can. I want shareholders to benefit, but I see it as a process. I think the way that you are going to benefit is if you put up more money. So in the meantime, I think there's other things to talk about, other trades to make. And frankly, Korean Yoon, what I saw 3 years ago, roughly, as an opportunity to turn a little bit of money into a lot of money, where I would have told you to go with that lot of money is silver, gold, oil and gas, things you know about, maybe paying down credit card debt, maybe cash flowing real estate. I don't know what I think about that right now. It might get cheaper, but cash flows. Thinking like a central bank. I don't think we have time, Korean Yoon, to put more money in places on a hope. I think you have to act now, and I mean now, to buy silver. Everything I read now, it's like everybody's an expert now. Everybody's talking about gold and silver, which on the one hand, it might have a pullback, but I think it's all cover for the professionals to move the Western managed money portfolios from less than 0.5% being in precious metals to 5 or 10% or more. It's coming. I just don't think you have time anymore. I think you just have to go with what you have. And 100 ounces of silver, physical silver, is going to cost you $4,000. Buy it. Have it sent home. I think that $4,000 almost certainly will be $40,000. When? That could happen in 90 days to 9 months. But realistically, it's going to take longer, and I hope it takes longer because it'll give us a chance to accumulate more. But what's going to change right away about silver? You're not going to be able to buy it under $50. You're not going to be able to buy it under $60. That's what's going to change. Whatever money you have, I'd say within 30 days, 45 days, you'll be able to buy half as much. It'll still make sense to buy it, but you won't get as much. So that's the urgency with silver. Same with gold and But my urgency on silver is that it's about to snap out of slumber. It's up from basically, it's doubled over the last 2 or 3 years. I think it got as low as $15. But silver is really cheap compared to any other asset in the world. Anyway, I got off a track. What I like about the Trento mine idea and projects is there's more than one quote unquote deal out there, and they expand. I mean, it's basically South America, but there's exposure in Central America, I think Australia and Canada as well. And those projects make a lot of sense to me. And in fact, I showed them to people I trust in the mining space, and one of them really looked good. But Korean Yun, oil and gas and mining go through cycles, maybe like real estate. And let's just stick with mining or gold and silver. First, you get the change in the price of the asset. So the first place to make money is when gold goes from 400 to 3,000. Well, that's already happened. That's already happened over the last 15 years. Now gold's 3,000. Where does gold go from here? Well, it really depends on so many factors that it's hard to quite predict, but I think gold is going much, much higher. Part of the move in gold will be wealth creating, but the rest of the move will just be the value of your dollar collapsing. So part of the move gets you better off. Part of the move keeps you where you are, and then it'll all be unobtainable if you're not in it. But that's the first thing, is the commodity moves. It's same with oil and gas. But then if money's been out of the space, monies go to the miners, but they go to the blue chip companies first, so-called blue chip companies first. The best. Then it comes to the secondary, the tertiary. And I would say a lot of the projects in the Trento mining portfolio are in that sort of third and fourth area. That's not to condemn them. That's not to say anything bad about them. It's just as the money start flowing, the people that manage your money and are now calling for $3,000 gold, which I called for years ago. And I'm not patting myself. I'm just pointing out that they get so smart and they start doing the same thing with each other. And they do it because it's comfortable to do it as a crowd. But make no mistake, they're doing it as a crowd. They're not being predictive. They want the comfort of numbers. They go to the blue chips first. And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of money to be made in projects that, say, a Barrick Gold or an Agnico Mines or a Newmont or Alamis Gold has, which were marginal at $400 an ounce, and maybe break even at $1,500 an ounce. But when gold's suddenly at $3,000 an ounce, those projects are producing, they're proven, they have the infrastructure. The bankers and the money managers that are so smart, they already know the stories. They've heard about them. That's where the money goes first. It's a lot like an aircraft carrier or an airline company. But if you think about, what was his name, Freddie Laker? He came up with the idea of flying across the Atlantic inexpensively for us, for people that bought the tickets. But the key was to have a full plane. That was a different pricing model than airlines use. But it's all about coming up with a strategy to fill enough seats to break even, and then every additional seat goes to the bottom line. So Freddie Laker said, if I sell this many economy tickets, the rest of them are all profit. You know, Pan Am, I don't think it was flying then, but Pan Am would have the first class and the business class and the, hang on a second. I don't know why I was getting black. So anyway, that's how mining is. If mines are operating at break even or negative, as soon as the commodity goes up, that extra goes to the bottom line. So that attracts capital. But it takes a long time for these sheep that manage your money to move. And I've been talking about it last year. Everybody was in the NVIDIA trade and those 7 stocks. And I warned everyone, of course, it's not like I'm some genius or have a big portfolio to manage. But these men and women that manage your money had to stay in NVIDIA till the end of the year so they could be in the top quintile or the top quartile or the top 10%, so that you would make the decision to re-up with them for the next 5 years. Also, they needed to make their bonuses. And I warned that as we came around the new year, I mean, just to be blunt, I warned that money was going to go to natural resources. And that's what's happening. But the first part is to talk about it, because they all want to be comfortable. They need to have little pieces they can put in their file. They need to have a quote from Rick Rule. They need to have a quote from the Financial Times, so they can justify to you why they put 5% of your assets. Somebody just here on this call here, Steve, I think his name was, said that he couldn't buy Sprott Physical Silver Trust in his 401k. It's too speculative. They won't let him. That will change. But it takes a while to build up that documentation so that if the trade goes pear-shaped, they don't sue, you don't sue them. Well, we're now in February, and a lot of that buildup of support for investing in gold and silver is in place. And I don't think it's going to last much longer. I think silver, you're just one failure to deliver away, in my opinion, in silver before it's $60 and maybe $90. So the question, and then it'll be volatile. It could pull back. But the question is, just like GBUX, Korean Yun, just like GBUX, I put $800 into 99 shares of GBUX. If I had acted, if I'd been fast acting Tenactin 6 weeks ago, that same $800 would have bought 1,000 shares. And the inertia of that position, I'd be feeling great about myself. Well, now I want to be in, but I don't have anywhere near the money to own 1,000 shares. So that's what will happen with silver, and that's the urgency to get in now, in my opinion. But anyway, getting back to Trento Mines. Number one, the Trento Mines refers to a deal that may or may not be on offer. I have a feeling with some effort, some you show me yours, I'll show me you mine, negotiations, maybe that Trento mining concept would come back. But I think it's several other transactions from my examination a few months ago. I don't know what it is exactly right now. So I think the Trento name is a good name, but I don't think it's quite what was on offer 2 years ago or a year ago. I think the relationships one of those guys has down in South America and elsewhere matter. I think they matter. Yeah, I mean, so Korean Yun, I think there's something there. I don't know if that project will be selected to go into GTII. My suspicion is that if the opportunity hasn't passed, we're very close to that passing in the short term anyway, in that monies you can attract to go into these projects, and you need a GTI, you need a middleman, you need a hustler. I don't know if that's going to still be the case. There's a sea wall of money. There's a wall of money ready to go into mining, ready to go into oil and gas. And I don't know in this case, but in general, Korean Yun, I could come to you, and I've told you the story, and I won't belabor it, but about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I flew to London with a project in my pocket, and I sat with my guys, and I said, I forget the number. And it was something like 20 million, 30 million, most of it bankable, but I needed to raise equity, to my memory, of maybe $8 million. give or take. The rest would be banked. And oil was trading at $32. And I gave my whole, blood is in the streets, it's time to invest pitch. And if we buy it, once we get it under control, it's cash flowing already. We can sell part of it to take our original money back. All I need is the money at the table to get the asset under control. And my friend said, Bill, oil prices, they can go down. You say they're going up, but they could be $15. So it was a non-starter. But that mentality is why people who have the courage to buy while there's blood in the streets make money in the future. Because most of the emotional battle with most of humankind, the mob, the crowd, they're going to be afraid of buying while everyone else is fearful. That's just human. That's why the opportunities come. So anyway, that deal, I didn't get it placed. That deal, a young man who went to friends, and he had never put a deal together before. He bought it. And he's an oil man. He was an oil guy, but he's young. He got it done, got it all pieced together, bought it. In 9 months, he sold 10% of that deal. He bought 100%. It was already cash flowing. He sold 10% for 90 million or 100 million, something like that. So not only did he get his money back, he made a huge profit and he kept 9/10 of the project. But I wasn't able to get somebody to see that. Anyway, what happens in commodities and in like the example I just gave is early on, if you act, you can create that value for your investors. But as time goes by and as that wall of money starts coming in, those early opportunities disappear. They're gone. They get repriced, they get revalued, and then you're in duking it out with institutions and with investment bankers and even Goldman Sachs fund, and you don't add much. So you don't really get in the next couple of rounds. And then a guy like me, all I can add to my investors is maybe getting an allocation of the hot IPO. And it's a shame. It's a shame, because when you're early, if you have the courage to act and be there, you can establish a position that benefits all the way up. But by the time all these so-called advisors work in concert over time, those repricing opportunities are gone. And I think in the Treno mine deal, I'd be surprised if the one project that my associate really coveted, I'd be surprised if that project's still available now that gold and silver prices are up. I don't know. So anyway, Korean Union, that's my way of telling you that, yes, I like the concept of the assets that were represented to me, but it's been months, if not a year, and prices have changed. But more importantly, we've gone around the corner of 2024. The pools of money and the people that manage that money, they've gotten paid their bonuses. So they're already looking, and now it's everywhere. Silver, gold, platinum, oil and gas less so, but it's everywhere. So it's a very long-winded way of telling you I'm not sure the opportunity still exists to create almost from nothing You remember the example I just gave you? If my guy I sat with at Montcalm's in London had said, okay, I'll raise 10 million. I'm going to keep 2 million for myself. I'll give them 8 million. If I had come back from that trip with that, I would have created value instantly of 90 million to the investor by selling 10%. Well, that something would have gone to somebody, but anyway, in gross. And then the remaining 90% would be worth almost $1 billion. That kind of opportunity only exists for the swift, the courageous, the knowledgeable, while nobody else is looking. So Korean Yoon, I'm not saying I don't think the projects have potential, but I'd be surprised if they're at the same stage of opportunity that my bloodhound nose was sniffing a year ago. That's number one, very long-winded number one. Number two, there are a lot of moving parts in the strategy of Treno Mines, which could work. And I'm not going to go through them. That's his proprietary strategy. But again, I think the sands have shifted. So it may not be as easy to get all those pieces together to lock in to create value. I don't know. I'd have to study it again. As you know, Korean Yoon, I am becoming almost boring in my repetition that where your money should be is resources. You know, this guy David Hunter says that treasury bonds will go down to zero one more time, 0% interest rates, the 10-year. They might even go negative. I don't know if I'm all that far with him, but his rationale is the stock market is going to have this big run-up, which I agree with. But then the world is going to go into a bust, and Trump can't stop it. It's just coming. And into that depression, now I think it's Jim Rickards points out that by the standard economic definition of depression, we're already in it. But let's move on from that. Let's just say this year, by the end of this year, beginning of next year, we have a crack up in the financial world. And remember, Korean Yoon, I've actually expanded my projections up and down, but in essence, I still think you can get 25, 30, 40% up in the indices of the stock market. I think it's a risky trade. I think if you play any part of it, you've got to get ready to get out. What I think will be more important is as it goes up, I want to find places where I can buy puts. That's what I'd like to do. Because as it goes up, every headline's going to be, oh, this is great. Technology's back. Trump is great. I'm not picking on Trump. I voted for Trump. But the headlines are all going to be fabulous. That's when you buy puts. Because I think we're at the point where a 45-year bull market is going to go back to where it was. I think the Dow and the NASDAQ and the other indices could come. It's my number, but I think we could come down 90, 95%. That's not a number anybody else is saying. They're saying, down 60, 70, 80%. But I think it can go all the way. It'll be devastating. The first decline will bring on the, and one of the people I follow is saying that the Fed will expand their balance sheet to $20 trillion. I actually think that'll be higher, 30, 40, 50 trillion, because I think the Federal Reserve works on behalf of the entire world. And that's what they'll go out and buy, all the bonds. They'll buy everything. And that's what will cause interest rates to go down. That's the theory. I caution that the Fed does not control interest rates. Yes, by definition, if they're buying everything, as long as the world trusts the dollar and the full faith and credit of the United States government, yes, that can drive down rates. But at some point, the bond market can and will behave its own way. So that's what the tension will be, and you got to be careful in the future, because if the bond market ignores what the Fed's doing, it doesn't matter. Everything I've said about the stock market going up, that won't happen. If the bond market collapses prematurely, you can ignore everything I said. And then it'll be an interesting issue. Are houses bonds, or are houses where you live? Because real estate, everything bubble will come collapsing down, except gold and silver. Now it gets complicated. You're going to say to me, well, how can gold and silver go up if the whole financial bubble is deflating? Deflating. It's not inflation, it's deflating. Well, historically, they hold their own because people trust it. People trust it. But anyway, getting back to the Trento mining concept, I did like and do like the assets in their portfolio. But Korean Yun, monies will be made in the commodities directly first, and then in other companies which already are in production, and then companies which are on the verge of being in production, and then companies whose projects are much further along. That's how I see it. It doesn't mean that the strategy of Trento Mines won't work. It doesn't mean any of that. It's just the answer that comes to my head as you ask the question. We've run out of time, Korean Yun, to chase the GTIIs of the world. Obviously, I still think there's some things that you can play at if, which I believe the stock market is going to continue this frothy phase. But I think we're running out of time. I think it's time to just admit we didn't make money in GTII. If we make money in some of these other trades, take 10%, 20% of the profit and buy silver, buy gold, buy platinum. Others say buy Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's a great example. I should have bought it back when I was considering it if I had just done it. But then as it gets more and more expensive, it's just harder and harder to do it. And that's what will happen with silver, I think. All right, so GBUX closed at 9:30. And all right, let's leave it at that. Let's see what else. Here's some positivity for us. Today is bad, tomorrow is worst, until the worst of it happens. I don't know if that's some sort of dig at me or if that's actually trying to be clever. You don't have to listen to me, Benjamin. Yeah, of course you don't. But I think for people who want to survive what's coming, be it a small shakeup or a massive one, you've got to own gold and silver. You've got to probably be out of debt. You've got to invest in things you know, which I don't know, because only you will know the value there. And, I think the market, once it's up, will present a huge opportunity to buy puts and to make trades to the downside. But you don't have to buy into any of that. What's the address for Doge? I don't know. I might have it. Let me look. On, I guess on Twitter, it's at Doge _ SEC. At Doge _ SEC. At Doge _ SEC. You get one chance to make a good impression, and those two failed. Well, ain't that the truth? You only get one chance to make an impression. Sometimes you make a good impression to people that you didn't care about. APS 71. Hey, JR Ewing. Sunday ST. Off topic. I hold my NBH shares. Should I continue to hold them myself or send to Equinity? Stan, I think that as long as Equinity, AST, still have availability of shares and therefore are still working in concert with NextBridge, and there's this whole mood of cooperation, you can hold your shares. But the risk becomes, as soon as the bus is full, the plane is full, the closet is full, whatever you want to call it, and life goes on down the highway, it's possible that maybe NextBridge won't ever trade, but maybe NextBridge is purchased by somebody, or maybe NextBridge does trade. What's possible down the road once everything is tightened up, it could cost you, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000. it could cost you, as it does with this silver company I invested in that got destroyed. It's a good company, but it got destroyed by the shorts, and the CEO didn't listen to me. The over-the-counter markets referred me to this group out of California, Justin somebody or other. It was either 2,500 or $4,000 for them to do the due diligence. 60 days. I had to send my shares, sign on the back. Probably would have. I had to open an account there. Probably would have had to sell the shares there at an unattractive bid. I didn't do it. The longer you hold your physical shares, the more you risk a prohibitive cost of getting those physical shares back into the electronic system. Now, having said that, I still have my physical shares. But right now, it won't cost you more than a FedEx envelope to get those shares into Equinity, AST, and they're there. And if you get conked on the head by a piano, your wife will know about the shares or whatever. I'm the bad example, but there's a lot of security of having your shares at Equinity, and it's essentially free. Anyway, right now it probably doesn't matter, and it probably won't matter for a year or two, but at some point it's going to get expensive to put the shares at Equinity, so you might as well do it while it's free. Nexbridge Hire announces engage in Christian Attar law firm. Well, let's find out about it. I didn't know that. Steve, it doesn't surprise me. Because to protect some of their rights, they're going to need a good lawyer. Okay, so they did announce that they are retaining. Yeah, see, I figured. I thought it was West Christian. The company is pleased to announce they've engaged the services of Christian. This is West Christian. They're going to investigate any and all claims: harassment, business disparagement, libel, slander, tortious interference, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and violations of the Administrative Procedures Act. The company will be working with West Christian. That's fantastic. The company, Nexbridge, has become aware of shareholder ledger imbalances at several brokerage firms, totaling amounts exceeding the aggregate 2.65 million share short interest position in MMTLP stated publicly by the lying bastards at FINRA. No, I added that. They didn't say that. I said that. The company wishes to reiterate that after more than 2 years, we have yet to uncover the full magnitude of these imbalances. No kidding. This is in spite of multiple attempts. By the way, moving your shares to, which I'm not talking about physical shares, I'm talking from your brokerage firm to Xfinity or to your own possession. If you own them at home, they have an account for you at Equinity or whatever it's called. That helps this count. Greg McCabe stated, "We are excited by these latest additions to our advisory team. Seasoned, successful litigator. We will not stand by as nefarious actors with hidden agendas spread misinformation. Be patient. And I want to thank our online community, the MMTLP Army, for their long-standing support and steadfast dedication. Fantastic. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic news. I didn't major in psychology, but it all began with my mother. Many people have bad feelings about the Trento deal. Well, I respect Richard Hoffman for giving both deals the chance to present to shareholders, because that's the right thing to do. Ultimately, it'll come down to, I'm guessing, because he is in that position, whatever the receiver recommends to the court probably will be accepted by the court. But ultimately, if the court is told something by somebody deus ex machina, the court may go their own way anyway. You should listen to the call with Richard before you say you support the Trento deal. There is no deal on paper. Richard proved that yesterday. I don't think I said I supported the deal, Johnny. I don't. If there was anything in my very long answer that implied I support the deal, I'll be clear. I don't think I have enough information or understanding of the terms or more importantly, of the potential value creation of each of the projects to support it. I just don't have that right now. I'm not supporting anything. I'll let it go how you all feel. And I think you should, Johnny, listen to the call and make your decisions. Operating costs are $800 million per year. Well, look, Korean Yoon, it's going to take multi-years. I think the other deal could take multi-years. I don't know. Don't listen to me. I don't have all the particulars. But to start a mine or a project from idea to making money, I mean, it can take decades. It takes a long time. That doesn't mean that it can't be, in a bull market, when the market discounts the future, it doesn't mean you can't make a profit a lot sooner, but it can take a long time. I don't understand how a mining entity wants to merge with GTII. They portrayed themselves. And you have invested in silver, you're the best. You're the best. Like in Sorrento, didn't Sorrento create precedence for us? I don't know, Sorrento. It reminds me of something, but my head is, couldn't the judge be asked to get a full share account before it comes out to trade again? Well, yeah, I think possibly, but once shares go to Europe, there is no record of it. The fraud is on a massive scale. Once the criminals move shares and sell shares from Frankfurt, for example, no one in the EU follows it. So I don't believe there can be an accurate count anyway. But if they do get the count, then do they allow the naked short position to exist in the new co? My suspicion is no. Will the naked shorts Alpine ever be forced to cover all those shares? My opinion is no. But, I mean, it comes down to your definition of cover. I'm saying I don't think it'll be covered in a way that causes a squeeze. What I think will happen is, using the expert market, the criminals will come into the court of the receivership, and they'll, with a big to-do, they'll go to the receiver. We're willing to buy, I don't know, 1 billion. I'm making it up, you understand. We're willing to buy 1 billion shares for half a penny. Cash. I don't think that's going to happen either, by the way. But I think something like that, if there is in fact the potential or the demand for a short squeeze, I think something like that is much more likely to happen than the squeeze. And I think it'll be approved. Glad that Richard cut off their constant fraudulent claims. Well, I didn't listen. So I can't comment. But I think everybody that did listen should trust their own instincts. The interview got heated. I guess they needed me there. Bought more GBUX. Good for you. Richard had, all right, so 947. I bought GTII at 11 cents. You're lucky. I miss Lucky very, very much. I miss him. I miss him every day. And I think, like, so they sent me this. They sent me this with his ashes, and I was reading it, and they say you can cry. I don't know. I might have almost cried. I'm not someone who cries. Anxiety and fear, yeah. Difficulty sleeping, yeah. Frustration, loss of focus, definitely. Loss of focus, fatigue, weight fluctuation, digestive issues, headaches, aches and pains. I don't know. But I miss the guy very, very much. He was generous of spirit. So Lion of all trades is ready for SPY to crash now. So, and it looks like an ascending triangle on the 5-minute for GBUX, whatever the hell that is. GBUX, I didn't look at a chart, but GBUX, the way it's trading, they tried to sell it off today. They couldn't. The news, I think, is solid today. And the price action today, I think it's possible that Ham's going to be correct, but I don't know. I'd like to buy you and Ham dinner for all you guys. Yeah, sure. Do I have to sit at the same table with Ham? we'll do it sometime. We'll do it sometime. Your broker says the price is too high. All right, let me go down to the bottom. I'm starting to get a little bit hungry. Poor Djokovic. He looked great today, but he lost to Bertini. I think he lost him. I turned it off, but he did look good, though. The death that destroyed me out of all of my was the death of my pet. Yeah, I was when my dad died. That was very hard for me, and other things I lost, love and. I don't know. That was a tough period, but losing my dog is tough. I miss him. He would be so much fun and anyway, he's gone. I was lucky to have him. It's a quote from Nietzsche. Today is bad, tomorrow is worse, until the worst of it happens. I read a quote. Let me just make sure it's appropriate. I don't want to get stuck in the trouble I've gotten. Yeah, I better be careful with that. I better be careful of that. But it's Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. He said during Vietnam, he said, whenever I open a prayer book, I see before me images of children burning from napalm. I guess I can say this first part. Rabbi Heschel said, God's voice is shaking heaven and earth, and man does not hear the faintest sound. He told an anti-war meeting in 1968. He's talking about Vietnam. The Lord roars like a lion. His word is like fire, like a hammer breaking rocks to pieces, and people go about unmoved, undisturbed, unaware. That's what he said. And this author is saying if you consider that nonsensical, well, then rest easy. You can console yourself that there is no moral accounting either in this world or in the next. I can't read the next sentence because it's too current events. Oh, anyway. Oh, don't tear up. I sent this to a friend of mine. Let me see if it's here. Here it is, Korean Yoon. That's what the entrance to heaven must look like. And I bet your pet will be there. Your pet already showed you all the good things that happen in heaven. So don't be sad. I mean, it's hard not to be. All right, so it's 5:00. I'm going to sign off. I don't know if I accomplished anything. Thank you for watching. I'll try to do better with information. The best short squeeze out there is silver. So we'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks for tuning in.